Have you been told that osteoporosis is just something you have to live with as you age? That once your bones start thinning, there's nothing you can do except slow the decline? What if I told you that recent scientific breakthroughs are proving this belief wrong? In fact, researchers at Duke University and UCSF have discovered ways to actually reverse bone loss and rebuild healthy bone density. I'm Dr. John DeMarco, and today we're diving deep into the science behind bone reversal. Whether you've been recently diagnosed with osteoporosis or you're looking to protect your bones as you age, this video will give you hope and practical strategies based on cutting-edge research. The science of bone remodeling. Let me start by explaining something that might surprise you. Your bones aren't static structures. They're actually living tissues that are constantly being broken down and rebuilt through a process called bone remodeling. Every day, old bone tissue is removed by cells called osteoclasts, while new bone is formed by cells called osteoblasts. In healthy individuals, this process is perfectly balanced. But with osteoporosis, the scale tips. We lose bone faster than we can build it. The key insight that's changing everything is this. If we can tip that balance back in favor of bone formation, we can actually reverse the disease. According to Medical News, today's comprehensive review from 2024, osteoporosis can indeed be reversed in some cases through a combination of targeted interventions. The bone remodeling process gives us a window of opportunity that researchers are now learning to exploit. Question: can osteoporosis actually be reversed? So let's address the big question directly. Can osteoporosis actually be reversed? The answer, based on current research, is yes, but with important caveats. Here's what the science shows us. At Duke University, Dr. Shiny Varghese and her team developed a revolutionary molecule that completely reversed osteoporosis in laboratory mice. These weren't just small improvements. The treated mice showed bone density that returned to completely healthy levels. This study, published in 2021, represents a major breakthrough in how we think about bone regeneration. Similarly, researchers at UCSF discovered something remarkable about the brain-bone connection. They found that by blocking certain estrogen receptors in the hypothalamus, the part of your brain that controls hormones, they could reverse bone loss in mice without the risks associated with traditional estrogen therapy. This research, published in January 2019, opened up entirely new pathways for treatment. Now, I want to be clear with you, these are animal studies, and we're still waiting for human trials. But there's already evidence from human case studies that validates the possibility of bone density improvement through lifestyle interventions. Real-world evidence. Let me share a particularly encouraging case study published in PMC in 2024. Researchers followed a postmenopausal woman who successfully increased her bone density over 2 years through targeted diet and exercise interventions. This wasn't just slowing bone loss. This was actual reversal, documented through DEXA scans. The study showed measurable improvements in both her lumbar spine and hip bone density. What made the difference? A combination of weight-bearing exercise, resistance training, optimal nutrition, focusing on calcium and vitamin D, and adequate protein intake. This gives us hope because it shows that even without experimental medications, we have tools available right now that can make a real difference. Question: what exercises actually help rebuild bone? Now let's get practical. What exercises actually help rebuild bone? The research is very specific about this. Weight-bearing exercises are your foundation. According to BioStrong's research analysis, activities like walking, dancing, and climbing stairs stimulate bone formation by creating mechanical stress that signals your bone cells to rebuild. But here's what many people don't realize: the intensity matters. Your bones need to experience forces they're not accustomed to. This is why gentle walking, while beneficial, may not be enough for significant bone building. You need what researchers call osteogenic loading exercises that create enough mechanical stress to trigger new bone formation. Some of the most effective exercises include jumping or hopping movements. 7 small jumps can create the impact needed to stimulate bone growth. Start with tiny hops if you're not used to jumping. Resistance training with progressive overload, gradually increasing the weight or resistance over time, forces your bones to adapt by becoming stronger. Stair climbing. The repetitive impact combined with resistance from your body weight makes this particularly effective. Dancing, especially styles with direction changes and varied movements that challenge your balance and create diverse loading patterns. The key principle here is progression. Your bones adapt to the demands you place on them, so you need to gradually increase those demands over time. This is why a structured program is so important. Question: how does diet play a role in bone reversal? Diet plays a crucial role in bone reversal, and the research shows us exactly which nutrients make the difference. The case study I mentioned earlier emphasized several key dietary factors. Calcium remains important, but it's not just about taking more calcium supplements. In fact, taking too much calcium without other supporting nutrients can be counterproductive. Vitamin D3 is absolutely critical because it controls how efficiently your body absorbs calcium. Most people over 50 are deficient in vitamin D, which means even adequate calcium intake won't help if you can't absorb it properly. Vitamin K2 is emerging as equally important. It directs calcium to your bones rather than allowing it to accumulate in your arteries. This is why some countries with lower calcium intake actually have stronger bones. They consume more K2-rich foods. Protein is often overlooked but essential. Your bone matrix is about 30 protein, and adequate protein intake supports both bone formation and the muscle mass that protects your bones. The research suggests older adults need more protein than younger people, about 1.2 to 1.6 grams per kilogram of body weight. Magnesium acts as a cofactor in bone formation, and zinc supports the enzymes involved in bone remodeling. These minerals work together, which is why a comprehensive approach is more effective than focusing on any single nutrient. The woman in the case study also reduced inflammatory foods, particularly refined sugars and processed foods, which can interfere with bone formation. Sugar actually increases calcium excretion through your kidneys, working against your bone-building efforts. Question: what about new medications? Now let's talk about the exciting new medications in development. Duke University's breakthrough molecule works by targeting the cellular mechanisms of bone formation directly. In their studies, this molecule didn't just slow bone loss, it actively rebuilt bone tissue to healthy density levels. What's particularly promising is that it worked even in cases of advanced osteoporosis. The UCSF research takes a completely different approach by targeting the brain-bone connection. They discovered that the hypothalamus, your brain's hormone control center, plays a direct role in bone metabolism. By modulating estrogen receptors in this specific brain region, they could promote bone formation without the systemic effects of traditional hormone therapy. This is significant because current medications like bisphosphonates primarily work by slowing bone breakdown, not by actively rebuilding bone. These new approaches aim to actually restore bone density. However, I want to emphasize that these treatments are still in research phases. Human trials will be needed to confirm safety and effectiveness. Current estimates suggest it could be several years before these treatments become available to patients. In the meantime, the lifestyle interventions we've discussed, exercise and nutrition, remain our best evidence-based tools for bone health improvement. Question: How long does bone reversal take? This is probably one of the most important questions you have. How long does this process take? From the case study data, significant improvements in bone density were documented over approximately 2 years with consistent lifestyle interventions. However, some improvements can be measured much sooner. Bone formation markers in blood tests can show positive changes within months of starting an appropriate exercise program. It's important to understand that bone remodeling is naturally a slow process. Your bones go through complete remodeling cycles that take about 36 months, so meaningful changes require sustained effort over multiple cycles. The experimental medications might potentially speed up this timeline. In animal studies, the Duke molecule showed effects much more rapidly than natural remodeling would typically allow. But until human trials are complete, we can't make specific predictions about timing. What I can tell you is that bone density improvements follow a predictable pattern. You'll likely see initial improvements in trabecular bone, the spongy bone inside your vertebrae, and hip bones before seeing changes in cortical bone, which is the dense outer shell. The key is consistency. Intermittent efforts won't be effective because bone formation requires sustained signals over time. This is why developing sustainable habits rather than short-term intensive programs is so crucial. Key takeaways for action. Let me give you the key takeaways you can act on immediately. First, start with progressive weight-bearing exercise. Begin where you are, but plan to gradually increase intensity. Even if you're starting with chair exercises or gentle walking, have a plan to progress over time. Your bones need increasing challenges to respond. Second, optimize your nutrition comprehensively. Don't just focus on calcium. Ensure adequate vitamin D3, K2, magnesium, and protein. Consider working with a healthcare provider to test your vitamin D levels and adjust supplementation accordingly. Third, think long-term. Bone reversal isn't a quick fix, it's a lifestyle change that pays dividends over months and years. But the research clearly shows that sustained effort can lead to meaningful improvements. Most importantly, don't let an osteoporosis diagnosis discourage you. The science is showing us that our bones have far more capacity for regeneration than we previously understood. Empowerment and next steps. Here's what I really want you to understand. You have more control over your bone health than you might have believed. The research from Duke, UCSF, and multiple case studies is rewriting what we know about osteoporosis reversal. Your bones are living tissues that respond to the demands you place on them. With the right combination of progressive exercise, comprehensive nutrition, and consistency over time, you can work toward rebuilding bone density. Start with small steps today. Add one weight-bearing activity to your routine this week. Review your nutrition to ensure you're getting the bone-building nutrients we discussed. You can find detailed resources about specific exercises and nutrition guidelines in the description below. The future is even more promising, with new medications in development that could accelerate this process. But you don't have to wait. You can begin taking control of your bone health right now. What surprised you most about today's research? Have you been told that osteoporosis was irreversible? Or are you already working on bone-building strategies? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Your story might encourage others who are just starting this journey. Remember, when it comes to your bone health, it's never too late to start, and the science is on your side. Check the description for additional resources on bone-building exercises and nutrition guides, and consider subscribing for more evidence-based health content that can help you take control of your wellness after 50.